Okay, so my name is Kevin Burkitt. I'm an instructional technologist here at Rutgers University. Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Okay, cool. All right, so in the chat window, I've designed this program to be somewhat interactive. So we're just going to jump right in. This is called the 10-minute passion project. And what this is designed to do is to help you when you're in a funk, like a design funk or some sort of a problematic funk, and you can't kind of get out of it. So I'm using some learning theory. I'm using some creativity. I'm using some things that I'm passionate about to teach you or maybe just show you how you can design for passion. So let's just jump in. Okay. So the first thing you're going to need to do, I'm going to give you a minute to do this, is I want you to find a large sheet of paper and a pen or a pencil. And you have 60 seconds. Come back in a minute. Go. So I gave you a minute. I totally didn't realize I was on mute. Something got bumped when I pulled out of my pocket or something. Sorry about that, Andrea. I apologize. Okay. Really nervous today. This is my first time presenting at any kind of big conference, and I'm just really, really nervous. I apologize. Okay. So, what I want you to do is find a piece of paper, find a pen. I gave you a minute. So, we're going to jump up to the next step in that. We're going to pretend that we had that minute back. So, while you're doing that, you're going to come in, and I'm going to ask you to pause. Okay. So one of the things that will happen when you're pausing during this presentation is these are the spots where I'm going to open up the chat window and I'm going to respond to you in chat. Okay. So the presentation is designed with 7 steps with 7 pauses. Okay. Now, the reason why I paused you here is because I want you to start getting into the frame of mind to think about things. Think about something that you know of, something that you might have in front of you, something that you might have done to kind of put you into a funk, some kind of a spot where you don't want to be, right? Okay. So this is the 10-minute passion worksheet. This is in the chat window for you in 2 forms. This is part of the PowerPoint presentation that I put at the top of the chat window. And this is also as a PDF file where you can download this. This is a little bit of a worksheet that you can use for yourself just to kind of scribble on or kind of write with or kind of do going forward. So you'll see how this plays out in just a second. I like to identify some key components first. If you look on the right-hand side of the triangle, you're going to see some markers: 10 minutes, 9 minutes, 8 minutes, 6, 4, 2, and 1. These are the increments of the 10 minutes we're going to spend developing our passion. Okay, so the constructs of passion. How did I come along with this idea, and what does it mean? What is a construct of passion? Well, before we continue, we're going to be thinking about a couple different things. I personally like 2 learning theories. The first is going to be on the left-hand side, which is John Keller's ARCS model of motivation, which means we have attention, relevance, confidence, and satisfaction. I also like John Bruner's discovery learning. So I've pulled some of the things that are more adult-oriented out of that learning method to create my taxonomy, and my taxonomy is in the middle. So today, we're going to be exploring introduction, whether we like something, whether we care for something, whether we don't care about something, how we invest in it, how we apply for it, how we experience it, and how we share it. That is the taxonomy. That is the model. So in the beginning, real quick glance at the room, quick glance at something maybe on your wall, maybe in front of you, brings back a good memory. Do you think you could design something for that? I bet you could. I really think you can, right? Because in my mind, when I'm in a funk, when I'm in a design funk, the first thing I do is I grab an object and I think to myself, how do I analyze that object for form and function? Kind of getting my mind out of that thing that I'm in. The next step would be to introduce yourself to something. So, what I would like you to do is just think of something that you would be introduced to. It could be a concept, it could be an object. Don't think of things monetary. Don't think of things that are fiduciary, that have value that we can use to trade off. This is not that kind of exercise. Um, I know we want to think about our family and our friends and our pets. But don't think about those things either, because they're hard to design for because really random. So think about something that's really introductory to you that you just learned about or you want to learn about. And what I want you to do is I want you to take a minute and I want you to, on that piece of paper, I want you to go back and I want you to draw a big triangle. And on that triangle, I want you to draw 7 sections. Okay. At the bottom section, what I want you to do is find your object, maybe find your concept, whatever you're working on that you want to design in a positive way. And I'd like you to write it in there. Okay. You have a minute to do this, and I will take questions in the chat window during this minute. Okay, we have about 15 seconds left, and I did give some instructions in the chat window going as well. We're looking for positive things, something new, something unique, and something interesting. Okay, we're almost there. I got about 3 seconds left. All right, we are out of the 1 minute. Okay, now, why did you pick that object? What is happening here? Something is saying hello to you. Something is drawing you to that object. Something is making you want to work with that object. Yeah, exactly. I have a quote from someone, not a work project. That's a good thing. I mean, but if you're stuck in a work project, that's okay too. Maybe you have something you really like that you could do better. Even that's even a good idea. All right. So on the discovery learning side and the theory side of motivation, two things are happening. Whatever you chose for whatever reason is it has your attention, meaning you were drawn to it for a reason, and it's generally symbolic to you for some reason. Meaning, as the example would say, like I like the color green because I'm an Eagles fan. I know we lost the Super Bowl. Well, anyway, the point is when I see Kelly green or I see midnight green, I immediately think of the Philadelphia Eagles. It's symbolic to me, and I find a lot of my design structure follows through from colors that I like. It's just natural. Okay, so what I want you to do next is I want you to pause and reflect for a second. And in the chat window, I would like you just a couple words, just put in what you found and what you liked. Just share with the group. Maybe you have a kayak, or maybe you do volunteer work, or maybe you do something like that. No? Okay. All right. So I'm going to keep going here. We're going to move out of the reflection stage. We have travel memories. We have an embedded box from India, a photograph of wild horses, and Harry Potter tumbler. These are all great things. They're phenomenal things. Thanks for sharing. Okay, so now we're at the like stage, and this is where it gets kind of interesting because you have to ask yourself, do you like this, or maybe you don't like this? And we start to make choices in the paradigm. We start to make choices in the taxonomy. So what I want you to do real quick is I want you to take a minute of your time, and I want you in that paradigm, in that triangle, I want you to write 3 things that you like about it and 3 things that you don't like about it. Go. You have a minute. Okay, we have about 5 seconds left. And again, we're going to come back to the discussion forum. And what I would like you to do now in the discussion forum is I'd like you to share some of those things that you like about it. So I'm going to ask some people. Um, we have a photograph of wild horses in the audience. What do you like about them? We have a Harry Potter tumbler. That's hard to say. What do you like about it? We have a couple books. We have a podcast that we've listened to. So in the thing, so we have surfing on a beach, water and sun. So give me some very specific things that you like about these pieces. Okay, so you're going to find out in this presentation, I'm a philanthropist. I do a lot of volunteer work. I also do a lot of kayaking and outdoor adventure stuff. So I wrote down real quick, what do I like about my kayak? It's freedom. It's camping. It's being on trips with my wife. It's being outside. Those things were really things that I like about that. Okay. And on the other side of that, I don't like that my kayak is heavy. It's pretty big. Ah, Luz, that's beautiful. Your friend gave you the tumbler. Okay. Okay, cool. All right. So now let's go the other way. If there was one thing that you didn't like about that experience, or the thing that you have in front of you, that tumbler, that picture, that experience at the beach, what would it be? Um, Mine's gonna be pretty simple. I have three of them. They're about my kayak, which you'll figure out. One is it's really heavy and really bulky. It's really hard to lift. Two, I'm not a big fan of the color, but I like the model, so I had to sacrifice getting um, the model that I wanted over the color. And I wish I could have gotten my favorite color. And then also two, the size. I wanted something a little bit bigger and had something that's smaller. Okay. All right, painting on the beach, relaxing. All right, these are all good things. So we just reflected on these, right? And I build in a lot of reflection into this model because part of what we're doing when we're designing something and we're in a funk is we're kind of stressed out. We're kind of real tense about things, right? So my model is designed to relax you and to think about things other than that thing that's stressing you out, to get rid of that tension, to kind of break the ice a little bit, almost like a fun way of coloring without coloring, if that makes any sense. Okay, now here's the last stage. At this stage in the model, in in the passion model, if you will, this is where a choice has to be made. Because if you decide that you don't care about something, you can't continue in the model, meaning you can't go past this step. So if you don't care about it, you're going to recycle yourself. You're going to start back up with something new until you can find something you care about and move forward. If you care about this object, you will then move to the next phase, and I'll explain that in a second. Now, this is a little bit more reflection. This is a little bit deeper. I really want you to go inside your head a little bit and inside what makes that object special, and think, why do you care about it? And why do you develop that feeling for it, whatever you're dealing with? So I'm going to give you a solid 2 minutes for this. Okay. So one of the things about caring is when you start to care about something, you start to develop a connection for it. And if you start to not care about it, that's divisive. It becomes counterintuitive, right? And sometimes that negative energy is carried with us, and we carry that negative spot with us. It makes it very difficult to be in a position to design or to build or even problem solve effectively. So I put the caring phase almost toward the lower third, mid third of the model, because I want this to be the stopping point where we investigate ourselves and the object simultaneously. Now, I also find that in this space, we're doubling the amount of time. So we go from 1 minute to 1 minute to 2 minutes. And in that 2 minutes, if we really think about something and we concentrate on that, we're slowing ourselves down in the way where we can open ourselves up to new experiences going forward. So we have about 30 seconds left. If you'd like to start writing things in the chat window, you can do that at this time. Please share with me why you care about your object or your theory or your process. So one of the reasons why I care about my kayaks is I care because I like the river, and that to me is important. The freedom, being available to it. It goes beyond like with me. I just care about it. Okay, so we're coming up on 2 seconds. 1 second. All right, we are done with that exercise. Okay, so please share with me a few of your care items going forward. I like this one. The book promotes a pathway to redirect attitude to one which is sustainable and respects the natural world. Now, that sounds like my wife. She recycles everything, which is awesome. And that's made me into a recycler and a composter and all those cool things. And just appreciation, right? Really fun. Okay. You like who you are when you travel, family and cultural roots. Excellent. Okay. All right. So you're starting to see that you care about things, right? You have an affection toward it, right? So you're seeing on the screen in front of you, it probably doesn't make a lot of sense, right? Um, but I had a spot in my life where I didn't care. And then I started doing this, just taking that cart, getting the food, and then coming through and filling it up with all that good stuff. Um, I found when I was doing my design work that I was getting to a funk a lot because I was just kind of in this space where I couldn't get a lot done. Um, Caring doesn't have to be volunteering. Caring doesn't have to be anything other than just caring about the object. But when you start caring about what you believe in, other good things happen. At least that's the way I feel about this thing, and that's a real important part of this passion model. So when we design things and develop things, like if nothing more, if you can get to the care phase and have a positive feeling, you're ready to go to the next phase, which is the invest phase. Now, invest. If you think about what an investment means time, energy, to some extent money. I mean, we always think of money, and the image I'm going to show is money because we relate money to investment. But before we continue, I would like you to find out, or at least say a couple things about the word invest. In the chat window, what does invest mean to you? What does the word invest mean to you? A couple quick words, giving it time, excellent. Okay. Money, okay, that's good. Okay, money helps. Time and energy, sacrificing, excellent. All right, I'm assuming everyone can see the chat window, right? These are all positive things. And at this point, I was very specific with this when I made this model. We can't get to invest unless we care. So now what I want you to do is I want to ask you a question. I want to ask you, how is it that you're invested in your object? How is it that we're invested into the pictures of wild horses and the Harry Potter profile, or the mug that we're dealing with? I'm sorry. Um, Tell me how you're invested in that. And this takes a little bit of time because this is a very hard question. But at the design stage, this is a very critical moment, because if we're invested in the project, we can go one of two ways, which I'll explain in just a second. I'm going to give you 2 minutes. Whenever you're ready, just tell me how you're invested in the project. Go ahead and share that with me. This is a hard one. When you ask someone what they invest in, oftentimes they say family, friends. They say maybe pets. I know we're very invested in our pets. But if I'm asking you the object that you chose, the very challenging question is, how are you invested in that object? What is it doing for you? How are you giving to it, and is it giving to you? That is really the question. How is the investment happening? Ah, sense of peace. That's a very good one, Maria. Thank you very much. Margot, yes, putting in our view to hear with the author. Okay. Oh, wow. Laura with the Peloton. Excellent. Opportunity to appreciate. Now, you probably are kind of guessing that there's a little bit of mindfulness going on with this. There's a little bit of observance. There's a little bit of slowing down in the practice or the process. Um, okay. Luz, I'm sorry. Your Tumblr, again, is that the Harry Potter Tumblr? I'm assuming? Yes. Okay. Thank you. So you use it every day, right? So you're invested in it, right? Um, it's amazing what happens when you have those things, right? All right. That was a quick 2 minutes. All right. Now, I use this object because when we think of invest, we think of money, right? I'm going to ask you, how do you save this object? Not like save it as in rescue saving it, but how do you save it for yourself? What do you use it for? What do you do with it? How do you save this for you when you need a good vibe or when you need to have a good experience? How do you save that experience for you and what do you do with it? So in the chat window, um, in the chat window, I'd like to just put a couple words like how you use this object to save you, if that makes any sense. Example would be with my kayaking, right? I'm in kayak withdrawal because it's not April 7th yet. My season starts on April 7th. So that really reframes my whole energy from April 7th till about September 25th or October 1st in that area. So I really draw to that. That saves me, it makes me feel better. So how does it save you in a saving sense? It brings you happiness. Excellent. Makes you feel good. Storytelling. Excellent. All right. Got some good ideas going on here. Okay. I'm going to continue real quick. Memories bring you joy. Excellent. Okay. So now what we're seeing is a combination of things. We're seeing things are relevant. They're relevant to you in your life. They're building confidence because you're happy. They're building confidence because you know that you can use this object for other things. You can reflect on them. You can work with them. You can figure out what you want to do with them, and you can also engage with them. And finally, you can start constructing with them, and that's a very big thing to work with is the construction part. So again, relevance. Why is this important to you? Confidence. What does it do to you to make you confident, right? How do you reflect on this? I see a lot of family stuff in the chat window today. I see memories of joy, happiness, reflection. We're doing all those things. Now, remind you that you are slowing down right now and you're having good memories and it's taking you out of that design funk that I want you to be out of. Okay. Now, here's another challenging question, another 2-minute question. How do you apply this to what you're doing? Meaning, how do you apply this to your life? How do you apply this to a situation? How do you apply this in general? I'm going to use myself as an example again. I apply myself on Saturday mornings by going to the food pantry and getting my cart, stacking up with food, and filling it up. Mine is a physical application, and that application does a lot of things for me. Right? I'm not going to say what just yet, but I want you to think about the object that you have, the pictures, the mugs, the memories that you have, the cell phones, everything we're talking about in the chat window. I want you to think about how you apply them to a problem set or to something that you're dealing with in a positive way. Okay. And I'm going to give you 2 minutes on this. This is a positive application of your device or of your memory, of your picture, or of your object. Margot, yes. I'm going to explain that question in just a minute. That's going to come to the end in the last concept, and I will explain all about it because that's kind of going to be the culmination of things, right? So, this is a good one. Resilience. I like that. You're tying in a sense of adaptability to the wild horses. I'm assuming Assateague, maybe in Maryland, Virginia, sort of thing. Maybe. Um, the wild horses are a good example of free spirit, right? Things that are happy. Travel creates a shift in thinking. Yes, it always does. Outer Banks, ooh, even better. I've never been there, and I want to go. It's on our list. Plant care. I like that. Good memories. Excellent. These are all positive things, right? And by now you should start to feel a little bit differently than you came into this project. Okay, maybe you start to feel a little bit more light. Maybe you start to feel a little bit more happy. The idea behind this is we're building a passion around the things we already know and have. Okay, we have another 39 seconds here. Appreciating in beauty. Okay, that's interesting. Now, um, Nisha, expand on that for me in the chat window. How do you appreciate beauty? What is one thing you would do to apply, not appreciate, but how you apply your object to beauty? Volunteer in a summer organization. Excellent. And Margot, do you still work at Brookdale? Because I used to work there. Okay, we are at our 2-minute mark. Very good. Okay, so application. Now you're going to see a whole different theme come in, right? Yes. Hello, Margot. Application for me is real interesting because I use tools to apply something very important. So, what you're seeing in front of you is a camera system that I still own. This is a film system that I've adapted from digital to film. I still primarily shoot in digital, but I can shoot in film. And I'm going to show you one thing real quick. So I took this picture on Easter Sunday of the pandemic 2020. Um, I was very confident in my skills at that time. I knew that I could take these great, wonderful beach pictures down by my home. I applied the camera to what I wanted to do. I used the hardware that I had. I was very self-directed in this space, right? And the interaction is interesting because you're saying, well, there's a singular person. Well, interaction when you're working in this design model is not about the one person. It's about how the whole thing works together. Exactly. Exactly. Good job, Nisha. All right. So again, at this stage, when you come out of application, you're going to be super confident. You're going to go into application. You're going to go into self-direction, and you go into interaction. Okay. These are all important things. I will honestly say the most important part of this is self-direction because sometimes I don't know about you, but when I get into a funk, I'm asking everyone else for help. Right. And that's really not what I want to do. I want to be able to problem solve on my own effectively. So I have to build my confidence, find the right application, become more self directed, and look for the interactions within that model. Does that make sense? Okay. So here we got to apply the brakes. Okay. Because we're getting really, really close to the top of the model. So I want to ask you, we've gone through the step of introducing something. We've gone through the step of deciding if we like it or we don't like it. We care for it, we don't care for it. We've invested in it and we've applied to it. Do you think we're done? What else is left to do? Now we're intrinsic. We're for ourselves. We're inside our bodies. We're inside that model of the ARCS model of motivation. We're doing it for ourselves at this point, right? But what if I asked you to do it extrinsically? What if I asked you to go to experience? What if I asked you to take your object and create a new experience for someone or something else? How could you do that with your object? And this is a real quick section. These are the last two sections are just about a minute long each. I want you to think about this for a second. And in the chat window, tell me how you could take your experience of the beach, your experience with your cell phone, your experience with wild horses, and create an experience for someone other than yourself. How could you do that? So I've applied all this energy into a couple different things in my life, which I'm going to share in just a minute. So the most noticeable one is my love of kayaking. So my application now has reached its peak. I can't get any better as a kayaker. I've done all the rivers I want to do. I'm limited to what I can do. I'm kind of at this like the middle of the pyramid here, right? My next step is to take classes so I can have an experience so I can do the last phase. So my experience now is shifting. So when I talk about experience at this page, how do you take your object and share that experience? How do you share the good that it makes you feel? How do you share what it does for you? I want you to think about that real quick, all right? And I want you to get a minute on top of that. We're going to take a minute. Go ahead. A book club. That's awesome. What other ways? I see we have a lot of people in the room. I definitely want to know what you guys would like to do as far as experiencing things. So we have a book club. Anyone else do something besides a book club? Yeah. Still writing? Still thinking? All right. We are at the last minute of the pyramid. Okay. Friends with Harry Potter events. Excellent. All right. So now we have these experiences, right? And what is a really cool part about an experience? Anyone want to take a guess? I see some lineage and genetics courses. I see we cook with people. We start a book club. We take experiences to other Harry Potter events. Do you almost feel like when you experience something, you have to go to another level, right? So the examples that I have here, these are very early kayaks that we modified for camping. Um, we loved the kayaking experience so much that we went to one other step and we made them into camping kayaks where we literally would go down rivers and sleep in the woods and all this kind of stuff, right? It's an experience. And when you get to the experience step, you are so close to passion because now you are just like filled with joy for whatever it is you're dealing with, right? So um I see an example at the experience step, you're sharing it, you're writing about it, you're creating videos, you're showing it. Absolutely. So give me some other examples of what happens as experience. Are you the subject matter expert, the content matter expert? Does your experience matter? It should, right? So if I asked anyone in the room, I'm going to pick on Luz for a second. I know nothing of Harry Potter, but if I wanted to know something of Harry Potter, I'm sure that Luz could tell me everything about Harry Potter. And that would be a great experience for me. And it can make me really get into that world for at least a little bit, which would be totally awesome. Okay. Cooking. Yes, cooking. Um, one of the things that people do when they care for each other is they cook for them. When you experience that, when someone gives you that experience of cooking and sharing, that helps as well. Okay, so the next step when you have experience is you really come toward the end of the pyramid. And in the end of that pyramid, you're building extreme amounts of confidence. Okay, you are the content matter expert. You are the subject matter expert. You are the one telling all your friends and family about the things you do, the places you've been, all of that kind of stuff. You now have satisfaction. You feel satisfied with your experience. You feel really engaged with them as well because you were learning in real life. And that's super valuable because when you learn something at the experience stage, you can't take it away, right? So what does that mean from a design perspective? If we go back through the model, you're starting to see these little steps grow up about positivity, right? Well, what inspired me to do this is the next step. And the reason why is because in the next step, I found that when I was designing something, I wasn't ready to be at this stage. Anyone want to take a guess what the next step is? Anyone? Okay. Yes, Luz, you are correct. The next stage is sharing. Okay, when we go all the way through the model, when we started introducing ourselves to something and deciding if we like it or don't like it or care or not care and bailing out at this point if we don't care about it, and then we invest in that and we apply to it in experience, at that point we share, and that is passion. When you can share something you're really, really interested in, even with one person, it just makes everything seem so much better. So from a design perspective, from an instructional design perspective, what I'm interested in is the share level. Because from sharing, the client or the SME is coming to me to build something for them, right? And I may be stuck in any one of these spaces. I might be stuck at the care phase, or maybe I don't understand the investment phase. Recognize that your client, or recognize that who you're working with, or recognize who you're talking to also has their own introduction, their own likes and dislikes. They care about things, they don't care about things. But when you get to the investment stage, this is where we start to work with our subject matter experts, our content matter experts, because we want to be invested in their projects. We want to apply what we know to make those things better. We want to build experiences. And when we share them, you have a minute left here. Share with me how you would share your project. So tell me about how you would share your object, what you would do from the super confident, super like really engaged in what you have. Tell me in a very few words how you would share that and what you would do. Nisha, you are correct. By teaching kayaking, you understand me. Create a video, pictures, video, sharing, excellent. All right. And again, if you look at the actions that you are posting to the chat window, these are not easy things to do, right? And you are an expert in something, and you are sharing your time, your knowledge, everything else. Yeah. Right. So passion is actually really, really interesting because when we build for passion, we're ultimately building for sharing, right? And that's really what that means is we're kind of in that step going forward. Got 10 seconds left. Yes, teaching your class, demonstrate how you learned. Excellent. 2, 1. All right. So sharing. It feels good to share, doesn't it? You know, it feels good when someone listens. It feels good when you have a concept or an idea. It has a very positive effect on you because if you get to the point where you're sharing something, you have engagement, you are self-directed, you are learning, you are real learning, meaning real experiences, right? And you have satisfaction, right? So from a design perspective, and that's what really this is my little design perspective. You know, I want to get to this spot where I can share with someone what I'm interested in because it's contagious. And when it's contagious and you share with someone and you go through these steps, you have relevance. Okay. It's relevant to you and then it might be relevant to someone else. You're building confidence in yourself and you're pulling someone else up with your confidence. It's super satisfying to be really into something that someone listens to. I know that's hard with cell phones and computers and gadgets and things, but when you have someone's attention, your satisfaction rate goes a little bit higher as well. It's a resource. You know, you might be that guy. And I can tell you, everyone on my staff is tired of me hearing about kayaking, but I'm the kayaking restory. Okay. Um, I'm reading this from Luz. Nice. And the last thing is you're constructing with it, you're building with it, you're doing something with it. Okay. And then you finally arrive. Okay. And when you arrive, you don't arrive. You don't stop, right? You find something else in that chain, maybe a subset of that, and you build it out. And then this is what you have. This is the experience. And this is the steps broken down based off the learning theories of ARC's model of motivation and discovered learning, and then my, I guess, taxonomy or paradigm, if you will. So if we have introduction, the first step in the ARC's model of motivation is we have attention, and that object is symbolic. If we like it, it's both attentive and it's also relevant to us, meaning it has our attention and we can reflect on it. If we care about it, it's strictly relevant. Either you care about it or you don't. I mean, there probably is some wiggle room in there, but unfortunately, I'm a very black and white person. So I made that very distinct at that point as the bail in, bail out stage where you can't go any further. And then from a discovery learning point, you're going to analyze that a little bit. So that step, the care step, is very black and white on purpose. The investment stage continues with relevance and starts to build confidence. And it also builds reflection, engagement, and construction. We're starting to do things here with discovery learning, play with things, mess with things, sort of thing, right? And then we apply them. We're getting even more confidence, right? And we're getting self-direction and interaction. And the experience, again, confidence and satisfaction, engagement, real learning. And when we have sharing, we have relevance, we have confidence and satisfaction, resource, and construction. That is the 10-minute passion project. I'm going to ask you to do your own session in the last 10 minutes. I'm going to give you 10 minutes to write down whatever you want. You can go through this. I'm going to give you a timer. I'm going to stay on board for the chat window. I'm also going to let you do this on your own quietly, and then we can reflect on it together toward the end. I'm going to give this the full, I'm going to give this, because we're running a little bit short, I'm going to give this about 9 minutes because we have about 9 minutes left. So I'm just going to let this roll out. Please talk to me in the chat window about any of the stages, but go back through, introduce yourself to something, find out if you like it, you don't like it, you care about it, you don't care about it, apply, invest, experience, and share. Thank you very much. Please use this time for some reflection. I'll be in the chat window, and then at the end of the beep, I will come back on and I will go over what I see. Thank you very much, and I hope that you enjoyed the Passion Project. Okay, so that question is very interesting, Liz. Thank you. How do we get past the care stage? If we don't care, um, personally, I don't want you to continue in this model because it's meant to be positive. It's meant to get you out of that funk. If you are sitting in that I don't care, a little bit of apathy, a little bit of angst or anxiety, then my model is not designed for that. My model is designed to get you past that stage and become a more positive thing as you go forward. Does that make sense? Okay, thank you. Yeah, again, I'm trying to be super positive here because the whole scope of the 10-minute passion project is to take that triangle and go through this quickly all the way to the end and build some positive energy. So when you are in that little space where you don't think you can get out of, it's a tool for you really to just kind of take a moment, take 10 minutes to just reframe yourself and then reevaluate what you're working on. I've used it a couple times for things I've been doing, and I find it was interesting. Thank you, Laura. Wow, so many of you are sticking with me. This is amazing. I thought with 10 minutes left, you'd be like, I'm out of here. This is great. Thank you for sticking around. And please, if you haven't joined me in the chat, you can just message me right now and I can answer any of your questions that you like. I can't say it enough. The whole scope of this idea is when you were in that space where you're kind of hitting that negative road in the negative fork in the road, right? And you realize you're at the care stage. If you get past that care stage, if you get past that care stage, you can go up and you can pull yourself into positivity, at least a little bit. This is my idea. Yeah, that's kind of how I feel about things. All right, we're at the halfway point. Does anyone want to share what they're working on? Maybe a new idea, a new construct, a new concept? Does anyone have any different things? Um, oh, I didn't tell you. So I'm very fortunate to have three things that I'm super passionate about. The first is photography. It's been in my whole life forever. I'm 46 years old. I've been taking pictures since I was 3. The second is volunteer work. I love helping out other people. Um, I love being kind of there for other people, helping out. There's a local food pantry that I belong to that I fill out twice a week. And the third thing is kayaking. That happened during the pandemic. It was one of these things. It was a singular activity that my wife and I do together. We like everything about it. So I'm very fortunate to have three things in my life that I can say I've reached absolute passion about. And I hope that everyone here can at least reach one. Thank you. Thank you today. Thank you, Beth. Yeah, I figured, it's so hard to find 10 minutes of our time to give to, because we give to everyone else in so many negative ways. We have projects we're working on. We may have family or children or pets or people that need us, right? And sometimes we just take 10 minutes to ourselves. Like, what do they say about mindfulness? A little bit of stretching, a little bit of box breathing, a little bit of just kind of being with the self. Well, sometimes we don't have time to do that. And if we don't have time to do that, we can use this model in a way to bring us to a more positive place. We can complete our projects on time and we can do the best job that we can possibly do. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. And if anyone has any questions about this, I'm going to put my email right in the chat window. Feel free to email me directly and I will give you the full copy of the presentation. And you can use it forever you like. Go from there. Got 3 minutes left. 3 minutes left, or a little bit less than 3 minutes. Okay. Um, because we have like 3 minutes left, I don't want to hold you to it, but just for fun, just share with me what you're writing down. Give me a couple ideas. Tell me where you are in the taxonomy. Has anyone reached the like stage yet? Has anyone reached the experience stage yet? And how did you get there? Real quick in the chat window, just a few words, please. Coming up on 2 minutes. 2 minutes, and we have exactly 2 minutes left in the session. We'll have a direct message. All right, these are all great things. All right, dog training. All right, motivation to improve dog behavior. I got a crazy dog at home, so if you want to borrow her, you're more than welcome. She's awesome. Processing the activity model, thinking about it. Okay, biostatistics. Now I'll hold on to my Avery. She's a good dog. She's a little wild on a leash, but she's fun. We tried this with her. We tried to calm her down, but it's not gonna happen. All right, we got 16 seconds left. Then we're gonna pause the presentation. Actually, I'm gonna pause this now. Just go to the next last slide. All right, here's my information. If you have any questions, please email me directly. I'll send you a copy of the presentation. I hope you all had a good time. I hope you're a little bit more motivated now to find something you're passionate about. Remember, it's all about positivity. It's all about being positive. When you're in a negative space, be positive. Okay, the 10-minute design project, pull you out of a funk. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. We are at time. All right. Thank you for the good start. I appreciate it. Bye bye.